Hey everybody, it's your boy The Cho. I'm very sorry there's not a video this week. Obviously you're on YouTube, so you're still watching something. I'm just going to put a graphic up just in case this is how you normally enjoy the podcast. But there's no video this week because we had to record everything on Zoom and the video just kept freezing up, so it would have just been stupid. So I got the audio up for you. There's a graphic of our lovely faces, and if you enjoy it on YouTube, you can still do that. Apologies. Hopefully next week we'll have all the kinks worked out. Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Skew. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, The Cho, Corey Ryan Forster here, wellreadcomedy.com, W-E-L-L-R-E-D, comedy.com. That is where you can find out where we're going to be, when they let us be, places that we really want to be. Miss you guys. Hope you guys are staying safe. You can grab our merch on there, the Liberal Redneck Manifesto, Dragon Dixie Out of the Dark, our critically acclaimed book. Also, our album, Well Read. Live from Lexington, t-shirts, hats, yada, yada, yada. Sign up for the newsletter so you'll know when they let us back out of this comedy prison that we're currently in. And also, this portion of the podcast is always brought to you by SmokeyBoysGrilling.com. Go to SmokeyBoysGrilling.com. Get all the rubs for all your meats, including their newest for fish and chicken called Hen and Fin, which is my favorite of the group. It's got a little sweet, got a little heat, got a little... It's fucking great. It's awesome. It's well balanced. Also, carvodka.com. You want to drink like the Cho? We all know you do, and you probably have been during the quarantine. Well, you just go over to carvodka.com and you carve your own path, you silly butts. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy, the CEO of Carve Vodka, Mr. Paul Gray, who just got engaged to my lovely friend Allison. So congratulations to you guys, and drink Carve. And if you're in Jacksonville, it's at all the liquor stores. Because I was just down there for some AEW wrestling and I synced that shit and it hit for me. I was really proud of Paul. Enjoy this podcast, and we love you, and share and subscribe and download it and tell all your friends and leave us a 5-star review if you have not. And thank you for supporting the only medium of entertainment that we are currently allowed to do. It brings us a lot of pleasure to be able to do this for you every week, and we hope you enjoy it, and we love you. And skew.
They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks. That makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
It hits for Amber to shave my head. And so yesterday she did, but it was with a different set of clippers that she wasn't used to. And also she were buzzed. And my head is in so much pain right now. Like, she just kept, I can't even explain how she was doing it, but she would be on my head and then she would lift up and then go to put it back on my head and just hit me in the head as hard as she could with the fucking set of razors and cut my fucking head. I was bleeding. So, yeah, it didn't hit.
Bleeding from your head?
Yeah, I know.
That's
Gusher.
a lot of blood. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm popping a grape.
Yeah. How was y'all's yard party?
Drew? I thought it hit.
I thought it hit.
It hit. It's fun. I don't know if you noticed or cared.
That you left abruptly and it was weird?
Me?
No.
They left. Well, I mean, dude, they left. I mean, are you saying I should have just left when Mark left if I was going to leave like that?
No. I'm not upset you left. It's just we were talking, and then it was my turn to talk, and I didn't care what I was. It was just my turn to talk, and then you were looking at your phone. I think sending me money that I asked you not to send.
No, I had a text.
And then you just go, okay, yeah, man, I'll see you later. It hit for me in a way because it was funny. But
well, in my mind, Mark and Tony.
Why didn't he leave with Mark?
Mark and Tony just left, and I was like, I'll hang up for a minute. Then I got my phone out,
and I started talking, and he was
I had a text. I had a text from Katie that was like, "When are you coming home?" Whatever. And Mark and him had just left, so that had happened. I got a text from Katie, asked when I was coming home, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to leave too. And I left too. And that's what happened.
No, I wasn't mad that you left. And I want to be clear, I wasn't mad that you weren't really listening to me because it wasn't super important. It is something that I can't say on the podcast. I can tell you, Corey, but we can't really say it publicly. But it was just my turn to comment on something related to our business, Corey. So I just, again, I don't like, I wasn't saying anything I haven't said a million times. It's just, it was my turn to talk, and I said it, and then he goes, all right, and he just got up and left. And then he was like, did Trae leave? And I was like, yeah, he did. I thought you might have got high. A part of me was like, did he smoke and I missed it? Because it was very much I got to go.
Yeah, I think it's just like this pandemic has taught us how precious time is. And so now Trae's just conditioned to the second something he turned show. The second something started not hitting.
Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
I was like, we're leaving without saying bye, but in front of you.
Yeah. The second it stopped hitting, it was like, oh, can't do this no more. Gotta go back to something that hits. My bad.
Dude, I like, as long as you weren't annoyed with me saying goodbye.
I do too.
It's so, I don't know. Mark was cute because he told us he loved us twice. I don't know if you caught that because he's drunk. Andy thought it was great. He was hitting for me all night. Corey, Mark had his first Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, what was so funny to me was that he loved it, but that the tone he was using was like surprise.
Yeah.
And it's to me, it was
like
so
everyone's been wrong for a year.
He was like this chicken sandwich is good. And we were like, yeah, the whole world thinks so.
Yeah. Like people have been waiting in line for hours and yeah, man.
But he just thought, nah, they're dumb.
Yeah. Right.
Which I get.
No.
Did
what
he
I
have
was going to
spicy
say
or regular?
Surely spicy, right?
Yeah, right.
He got spicy,
yeah.
I just thought it was funny. I don't. It's going to make us sound a little shitty, maybe, but we had a yard party. We had done this once before. It was just literally just me, you, and Mark. We sit in the yard in chairs that are like 5 or 6 feet apart. We don't physically touch each other. We sit there like socially distancing, just drinking and talking about shit. And we'd done that literally one time, and that's exactly how it went, and it was fine. And then this past Saturday, we let's do that again. But like before too long, all that just went completely out the window. Pretty much is the part that I thought was funny. Like everybody ended up in the house together, like
making out.
There was high fives and stuff. Like and I'm not trying to make light of us being cavalier about the situation, although that's literally exactly objectively what I'm doing right now. But I thought it was just kind of funny how quickly
we talked about it soberly. And then, in a meta way, lived it.
Right.
Like we all had talked about how we were subconsciously becoming more and more comfortable around people and starting to kind of break rules here and there. And then we just ended up living it. I talked about this same thing with DJ, and he was talking about how he went to see Jables, and an hour later they were wrestling.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens is that you just add alcohol to a situation, and everything's out the window. Like we had a similar situation a couple weeks ago. Me and some of my buddies, like we got in the yard, we were all apart, we were just sitting there in lawn chairs drinking. Nobody was going in the house or nothing, but we got fucking hammered. And I don't think it was just it wasn't like a conscious decision for everybody to be like, oh, well, fuck it, we don't care. We just forgot. And we just all started going. It was like, God damn, it's hot out here. Let's go in the house. And we're just all, drinking from the same soup bowl, licking each other. Just like, oh, yeah, I forgot there's a disease. We just went back to being.
Well, I think it's obviously the alcohol thing is part of it. But also I think it's like a snapshot of society as a whole where it's like, I don't know, man. It just seems to me like there's like an upper limit on the amount of time that people can continue to like
not be around each other and
be actively terrified of a thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It becomes like, and part of this is the way it's covered and treated too. It became, at first it was the number one news thing. It was the most important thing going on in the whole world. And it was crazy and intense and anybody ever thought or talked about. But then that went on for weeks and weeks, and you get fatigue of like anything, even if it's not okay to feel that way. It's like human nature. It just happens. And then it kind of doesn't fall out of the news cycle, but it becomes secondary in the news cycle to another massive thing that kind of pushes it to the back seat. And places are already decided, fuck it, we're reopening. Well, like cases are going back up, and people are like, well, we're still going to reopen. And it just becomes this thing where psychologically society is like, we're done with all that.
The thing
even
is,
though we're not.
Right. No, we're not
like,
at all. And and the thing is like, we're definitely not done if everybody starts acting that way.
Right.
But
exactly.
But
yeah.
the thing is, and for the record, when I say this, I'm not trying to use some talking point that like this is a very Republican talking point is what I'm saying. However, like there is a little bit of like, I mean, I kind of get what they're fucking saying on this. We had like, you know, if you fucking go outside and you're around a group of people and you're not wearing a mask, you're a fucking dickhead. Like if you can help it, you shouldn't be around a lot of people anyways. And then the protests happen, and the same people saying that are like, if you're not out protesting, you're a fucking dickhead. And I can see some people being like, okay, but was I supposed to stay in the house or was I not supposed to? So it's fine if it's for justice. And like, I get that they're like this, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality does seem to, it's like, look, man, I'm sorry. Logic is being thrown out the window right now. Nobody knows what the fuck to do. But as some people, I can understand them being like, okay, so last week I couldn't even go to Chick-fil-A to get a sandwich, but now I'm supposed to go to the fucking courthouse with 500 people. Which one's right and which one's wrong, and what the fuck do we do? And like you said, psychologically, I think everybody's just like, God damn, man, there's so much fucking going on that like I just need to see my buddy right now.
And another aspect of it that I did recently and realized afterwards, I've been meaning to say something to you about this, Drew, because me and Drew and Andy went to a protest, and we met up with a friend of Andy's who I don't know, and had just met her that day. Drew and Andy gave me and that girl a ride home afterwards. Dropped the girl off first. Point is, we were outside in this big protest, this big group of people, but like outside and marching and spread apart and whatever. We got
everybody
masks.
has masks.
Everybody has masks on. We've got masks on the whole time. We were
and
out
there
there
are people giving out masks.
We were out there for hours, like 4 hours or something like that at least. I got sunburned, didn't hit, but anyway, had masks on the whole time. While outside in the open air, we finally get back to Drew's car at like 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever it was. And as soon as we get into the car and close the door, me, Drew, and Andy all just like ripped our mask off immediately.
Yeah.
And I even said, I was like, I pulled it off and like just exhaled my breath all over. You know, I was like, oh, feels good to take that motherfucker off, you know, and like, that's just, and then right after I did that, I realized like, oh man, that like, you're not supposed to have done that.
What's the point?
The moment you finally
or in
get
the closed quarters, a sealed off environment with multiple people in close proximity together is exactly the time you should not take your mask off. But like without even thinking about it, we all, and Andy's friend did not, which her doing that is what made me realize like, oh, that didn't hit what I just did. No, right.
But you don't even think about it. It's like getting home after a long day and like kicking your boots off or whatever, or at least I didn't. I just got in the car, ripped it off, and was like, oh.
Well, dude, we're all
dying to do that.
I think this is pretty consistent. And Corey, I know what you're saying is that there's people like that, and it's hard to like hate them if they're like, last week I couldn't eat a sandwich, and now you're expecting me to go march. At the very least, this is conflicting. I understand people feel that way, and they're not insane if they do. But I also don't think it's insane that the whole time all any of us have needed to do is our best.
Right.
Whether you're talking about trying to get the government to pay people who can't work, to keeping up open hospitals because you fucking have to, but closing down places that aren't as necessary, to wear your mask if you're outside and outdoors. But look, if you're at work for 8 hours and you need a break, take a fucking break. Like, you know, if you don't want to wear a mask for 8 hours straight, then don't. Take a fucking break. And with the marches, it's like, I mean, look, I made a conscious decision, and I'm not ashamed of it.
No, I respect it, by the way.
Everyone there wore masks, et cetera, et cetera. I think that we've all been doing our best. I don't think we did our best, Trae, at the party.
For the record, please don't think that I was trying to slight you in any way.
Oh, I
wasn't.
Didn't.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I just think that the rule has. People have talked about different things, but what it should have been, and what I hope I've always come across as saying, is we should just all do our best.
Yeah.
And if you're going into the fucking beach without a mask, getting drunk, you're not doing your best.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we should. But all I expect from anyone is do their best. If you wear a mask for 3 hours and then you need 30 minutes off, then take 30 minutes off, boo boo. Don't fucking die from your mask. But. You know, we weren't doing our best by the end of our get together, not before last. I admit that, and I think, Trae, it's associated with what you're talking about. and you too, Corey, in some ways, a lot of people have not done their best.
No, not
The
even
people
tried.
who have done their best are getting sick of looking at people who ain't doing their. It's like,
no, man.
it don't matter what I do if you still are getting drunk at Kid Rock's bar and puking at everybody every week. Like, it was for nothing.
Yeah, well, and when all this first started going on, and it's still serious now, but when it seemed way more like right when it was like, oh shit, guys, this isn't just we need to skip a concert last weekend. Like we might be in for like several months. I was not only doing my best, I was like doing anyone's best. I was fucking not leaving my goddamn house. I was trying not to let anybody in. I went 3.5, 4 weeks without even seeing my parents who live right down the street from me, and they were pissed. Like they were like, "Why don't you come over?" And I was like, "I'm doing this for you. I was at LAX airport. I don't want to fucking yada yada yada." And then I got so goddamn furious because I'd been acting like that. And then there was a couple people who just uninvited just dropped by my house and were like, they came in and they were like, "Oh man, we've just been in lockdown too long. We're getting bored and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Do you realize what you've just done? You coming in here have just negated all the work that I've done. Like, right. I definitely now can't go see. I wasn't going to anyways, but like, let's say hypothetically, it'd been a month, and I was like, well, I've been quarantined, and so my parents, I feel comfortable going to say hey to mom on the porch. I fucking don't feel that way now because of your ass, because of what you've done. It's irresponsible. So, yeah, man, I feel you, and I'm not as much on lockdown like that as I was. I probably still should be, but I think at this point we're all doing the best. And also doing our best to like remain sane and still do our best. Where at the beginning it was like, oh, we could use a break from people, fuck it, we'll just stay in. And now it's like, God damn it, I gotta go to the store or something.
Well, there's no way for me to, and I don't want to come across as to justify turning a small yard party where we all are spread out into coming to the house and then people are high-fiving. Shouldn't have done it. Won't again. Like if you guys come back over, I'll keep everybody outside.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to justify that. I'm just trying to say that I think the ship has sailed.
Yeah.
So like
if everybody's opening up,
wave.
Dude. Yeah.
Well, but okay. On a positive note, as far as that goes, we were talking about this the other night, Drew. Yeah, I
agree.
think
I know what you're going to say. It's not very positive.
No, I think it. Anyway, when people are opening back up, despite the fact that cases are going up and shit, and everybody, it's just like, yeah, fuck it, we're reopening. Like even like California, even liberal states, like, yeah, we're reopening. We tried, fuck it,
right.
Like, we're reopening now. But still, they're reopening in different places. Treat it with different levels of sincerity. But I know that like they're reopening with rules. Like we're comedians, comedy clubs. They have rules. They cap the things. They put people X amount apart, yada, yada. That Drew's been to a bar where they laser your forehead to test your temperature on the way in. A lot of places are doing that. A lot of places are basically not allowing you to be inside. They put like picnic tables and shit like that outside. You can hang out there, whatever, but you need to be outside unless you're just coming in and use the bathroom. Shit like that. All kinds of different things like that. And like the thing is, it's like, yeah, that's not perfect. That's not the same as like quarantining or lockdown. Of course it's not. But like, dude, all that shit, it has to do something.
It does, yeah.
It's so much different than the way we used to operate. That's so much different than just going to a bar to watch an NFL playoff game and everybody's packed in there like sardines all lined up at the bar, you know what I mean? And you're fucking shoulder to shoulder with 150 other people versus this new version of it. Like it has to fucking make a difference. Like even if it's like not the best we could all be doing as a society, it's got to help a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel the need to explain. I went to a bar, and this is similar to what you were saying about once you start down a path of letting go, you just let go more. We ordered food from a bar. While we were waiting on it, I got a drink with my friends, Andy, my wife, and our friend Carmen, and we went to the outdoor patio to wait on the food. But because it was like, well, we're here. We'll just go to the outdoor patio and drink a beer there. That's not going to hurt. But then you get to the outdoor patio. It's like, well, we're already here. We might as well eat.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say real quick, the reason I said, I think I know what you're going to say, and it's not actually that positive. I thought you were going to say, and I didn't know this, but you or Mark told me that the cases are climbing, but the death rate has kind of gone down.
Yeah, that's a Mark thing. Mark also told my source on that is Mark.
Yeah,
but
Mark be knowing stuff.
Well, my theory on that, Corey, is that it's because it already killed them.
Right.
You can't die again. Like it killed the old people, and the reason the death rates are going down is because the only people getting it now ain't going to die.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
Part of what Mark was also saying, and again, so just so everybody knows, this is from our buddy Mark. That's all of this data and information is coming from our buddy Mark. But here's what Mark said.
Okay, but listen,
Mark's a former journalist. He's a former journalist, current writer.
I was about to say, let me say this, but most of the time, if we say my buddy Mark said something, that you should take it with
you can discount that.
But Mark is smart and hits, and he shaves his head every day and wears glasses. He's that type of dude. Right. Really trim beard Mark. Like when he reads stuff, it's good stuff to read. Go ahead.
So anyway, no, you're right. I mean, I'm mostly just trying to hit. Mark is smart. This is smart Mark. This ain't from drunk Mark. Well, actually, he drunk too. But anyway, you know what I mean. Ain't from fat dumb Mark that we all know. This is from smart Mark. Anyway, smart Mark says that in addition to death rate being down, there's also like evidence that it's not like affecting people as harshly as it was, and no one understands why. And he's just like, there's a lot of weird shit going on with it. Like Drew has his theory that the death rate's going down because everybody died already. But like, as far as what Mark was saying is like the death rate's going down. There's evidence that it's not fucking people up as bad as it once was. And like, we don't understand why any of that shit's happening. So it's just a really weird disease. And anecdotally, a buddy told me, and I am not drawing any conclusions from this story. I'm sincerely not. It's just a wild story. Okay. My buddy works at a nursing home back home, and he had been telling us when all the craziness started, how hardcore they were being and stringent about their procedures. Because of course they are. It's a fucking nursing home. Yeah. But it ended up getting into this nursing home. And he told me, obviously they were really worried about that or whatever, but that already has happened. It's like it worked its way through this nursing home. A nursing home in an impoverished, rural, southern area. People do not be healthy here, let alone the people who are in the nursing home.
No, that's one of the least hitting sentences I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, buddy. Does not hit.
No.
Anyway.
Seen them, been in them, don't hit.
Yeah, and anyway, COVID got in there, and he said something like 80%, and I'm probably butchering this, but the numbers are not far off. The takeaways are the same. It was something like 80% of their clients, or whatever they're called, patients, residents, 80% of the residents got it, and about half of those were symptomatic at all, right? And these are all old people. So like half of them were totally asymptomatic, had no symptoms at all. And of the ones who were symptomatic, they all eventually recovered, he said, which I thought was like fucking crazy. I know he's not lying about it, and it's probably just a statistical anomaly. That's why I'm being careful to say I'm not drawing any specific conclusions from that. I'm just sharing a pretty wild anecdote that was shared with me about this situation.
Well, dude, I've read or heard that some models are saying that it's really not that deadly, that they thought it was deadly, more prevalent than they thought. So its death rate is only 1 or 2%. Right. It's just so many more fucking people had it than they thought.
Right. It seemed way more deadly at first because the number of people who had it was way lower than it actually was. So the percentage of people who had it and died from it.
Right. But you still have mass graves in New York City, so we still have to do our best.
Y'all, this episode, of course, is sponsored by Blue Chew. Remember the days when you were always ready to go, back when you were younger and your dick hit harder and you had a better back? Let's talk about sex. Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. That is blue, like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. Because if y'all know me, if you're anything like me, you love to fuck after you eat some nachos. And with Blue Chew, you can do that. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can get that thicky dicky really quickie. So you can be... I'm so fucking sorry about So you can be ready whenever an opportunity arises. If you could benefit from more confidence where it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Blue Chew is prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you don't have to go to the doctor's office or wait in the line at the pharmacy, because if you're like me, you know you're going to be sitting there at the pharmacy, and people are going to see you, they're going to holler, they're going to be like, hey, we got your dick pills, look at Corey, he's bald and his dick don't work, he don't hit. No, it comes to your door in a discreet package. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. And best of all, no more awkwardness. Right now, we got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code RED, R-E-D. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. Cheapest goddamn boner you could ever get. Again, that's B-L-U-E, chew.com, promo code RED. Try it for free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice. And we thank them for not only sponsoring our podcast, but getting our dick super hard. And remember, like we always say, with Blue Chew, get you a new dick. Now back to the podcast. Skew.
I know what you said is anecdotal, but like, man, some of them Depression era rural old folks, you just can't fucking kill them, man. Like I've known me a lot that Orc died. That Orc died.
You're
somewhere.
right. Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right,
kidding,
actually.
man. My Uncle Gordon lived till 98 years old. That son of a bitch drank Pabst Blue Ribbon, dipped beech nut, ate fried food, smoked cigarettes and shit every goddamn day. I think he died. He just he got tired of being alive. One day, he just sat down in his chair and he's like, well, my dog died last year. Nothing hits. And he just closed his eyes and fucking went to see my granny. That's what happened. Like, you can't fuck with them.
Well, they can't die, dude. Who's going to hold the line against progress?
I know.
What I mean? Like,
Exactly.
they are the vanguard against social progress, so they have to hang on by every
man.
Speaking of, I guess we should talk about that.
About what?
Old people being racist.
Old people dying and being racist?
Yeah.
Social progress or lack thereof, I guess is what I bet. I wanted to know if y'all seen where Biden came out and said he was going to give $300 million to cops.
No.
Was it to not shoot black people? Because that'd be sweet. Here you go.
That's
if y'all
what the
cannot
goal is.
shoot black people for a whole year, you can have his $300
It's like a
million.
gold star
it was-
reward program.
The plan is it's not a reward program. That might work. The plan is just to like retrain them, you know. But it's like
Yeah.
we already told them not to kill me. Like we've been telling them.
What was their original training? Just them sitting around shooting fucking black mannequins every day?
I will say our buddy Earl, I saw Earl last night in a yard party at his house, Trae. Me and Andy went over. Earl told me, we social distance. We did a good job. Earl told me that he did SWAT training for some movie or show he was trying to do.
Of course he did. Of course
Yeah, he was
did.
like, look, I know I'm pretentious LA, but I've done SWAT training. He said that they are like if they see a weapon, they shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were joking
And
about
the way the
how were they
simulation-
training them before to shoot them, but like, yeah, no, they do. Like,
Yeah,
like,
right.
Well,
like the
and the way
training
that-
they get is fucked up, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
the way the simulation works too is we're all in a nightmare and Kevin's in charge. No, the way the police simulations work is if you don't shoot somebody as soon as they even flash a weapon, whether there's back to you, whether they're running away from you, whatever it is, your partner dies in the simulation.
Right.
Your partner dies. So, and by the way, I don't mean someone pulls a gun on you and then you shoot him. Like literally someone's running away from you and you see a knife in your hand. In the simulation, if you don't shoot them in the back, your partner gets stabbed later in the simulation.
That don't hit.
I mean, they're literally being trained to be warriors, to go to
Listen,
war, not
y'all-
police.
Drew,
Soldiers.
do you know who Dave Grossman is?
I don't think so.
First of all, his name is Grossman, which is appropriate. But he's like one of the most popular, I guess. He's like one of the top police training gurus in the United States of America. He goes all over America training cops, right? So let's just some of these like bullet points here. Dave Grossman's Bulletproof Mind is teaching law enforcement agencies across the United States militarized tactics in which officers are told to see themselves as being at war on the streets. The retired Army Ranger and former West Point instructor has been teaching his classes for more than 2 decades. He focuses on a concept he has dubbed killology, or the study of killing, and uses it to teach officers to kill with less hesitation. Agencies have started turning away from the courses in recent years after it was discovered that Minnesota police officer who fatally shot Philando Castile has taken one of Grossman's courses. This article is from, this is a recent article. The Philando Castile thing made me think it was from that time, but who can keep up with all the murders? But
yeah, right. It's pretty evergreen.
Listen to this shit, dude. This is a direct quote from the guy. I am convinced from a lifetime of study that if you fully prepare yourself, in most cases, killing is just not that big of a deal. For a mature warrior who has prepared their selves, mind, body, and spirit for a lifetime, for a mature warrior whose killing represents a clear and present danger to others, it's just not that big of a deal.
In other words, God, go ahead.
Grossman said in 2015, while speaking in front of a group in a segment filmed for the 2016 police militarization documentary, Do Not Resist. Grossman also enticed his audience by noting that killing can lead to great sex. But anyway,
I love that this Grossman dude essentially what he said was, it turns out when you brainwash people, it's not really that big of a deal for them to murder.
Right.
So I don't understand what y'all's problem is. They don't care. They love to do it. Just let them do it.
But there's a part of me that appreciates that man's bold honesty in terms of
he's a psychopath.
Well, right. Well, he's like, look, you'll have great sex and you won't care if you murder people if you listen to me. And it's like, I want so many more people to realize that's how these police are being trained, because it's like they don't believe that that's what's actually happening because it sounds so out of bounds. Even part of me assumed it was being at least somewhat hidden. You know what I mean? But no, Grossman's just out there, buddy. You want to talk about coming, murder a dude? I mean, that's crazy, and that's who these cops
insane.
are.
Exactly. No, you're right. Like people, right? It's always we got to train them better. They're training. It's like, dude, no, their training is the problem, or it's a big part of the problem. Like, y'all don't understand.
And you can't make them
how
change
they are
it.
trained. Like
my mama has come around a lot, for the record, the last week. And one thing she told me is that she was researching on the ACLU's website. And I may have told y'all this already. I'm sorry if I did. But one thing she said that stood out to me is she was like, well, Drew, the ACLU's got all these studies that show all these ways that would help. And they get money from the feds to do these studies. And they tell these police forces what to do. And they just don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where I'm at with giving the police $300 million to quote unquote train.
They won't do it. Yeah.
The feds have no way. The feds cannot themselves disband a police department or really threaten them. All they can say is we'll stop giving you money. But without any threat of, if you don't improve things, we will get rid of you. We can't change these places. And because police unions are so powerful, there is no threat. And that's why I personally say defund the police.
Yeah, I know I apologize to you two in advance for this, because I know I've told this story a lot frequently, but it actually has not been on this show.
Not Bono, just the rest of you two.
I will never apologize to you two. They do not have for me. But anyway, I have told this story a lot recently because it's been relevant, but I actually have not told it on our show. It's been on other people's shows I've been on, or with y'all in other circumstances. So real quick, just talking about how it's institutional and it's a training issue and it's a cultural issue with cops across the board. Again, an anecdote in support of that. When I lived in East Tennessee, I lived by a guy who was only a couple years younger than me, but he lived in his parents' basement, always had. He raced go-karts. Meanwhile, I'm married with 2 young children, and honestly, that I was too young for that. He was too old for what he was doing. But anyway, he was one of those types that couldn't ever hold down a job up until that point. He was a really nice guy, though. I didn't dislike him. I was just like, God, this dude needs to get his shit together, basically.
He just kind of seemed like a loser.
Yeah. So then he got into the police academy locally, and he was also he was in good shape. He was a young, fit guy. He looked like he'd been in the military, but he hadn't been. He was that type of dude. And honestly, and like I said, he was a nice guy. Also, when I found out he's in the police academy, I was like, that checks out. That might actually work for him. we went to the same gym. I saw him at the gym a little while later after not seeing him for a while. And I said, how's the cop thing going? And he goes, it didn't work out. And at first I was like, of course it didn't work out. But I just meant, in my mind, it was like literally just because it was a job.
He don't hit
any job. It wouldn't have mattered. But he was like, it didn't work out. And I was like, oh, really? What happened? And he goes, and I never heard him say nothing even approaching this level of profundity before. But he said, well, shortly after I got out of the academy and I was on shift one night when I was working, situation happened where I had to draw my service weapon. And I realized the moment that I drew that weapon that whatever it is that you have to have inside of you, another human being, I do not have that thing. And so I knew that I could never do that job. And at first, and I've told this story for years because I've never done a 180 on a person faster, because when initially when he told me that, I gained so much respect for him as an individual. I was like, holy shit, man. I didn't know you had that kind of depth to you, basically. But I was like, dude.
I just thought you was fat, dumb, and don't hit.
Right, yeah. I was like, good for you. And that's the only way I ever really looked at it. And I think that's a valid way to look at it, too. But I told that story to Drew and Smart Mark a few weeks ago and during our first yard party. And when I told that story to them, Drew said, well, the wrong cop quit. And I'd never even really thought about it that way, but it's completely true. Like, another way to look at what he was saying was basically he's been through cop training. And so he knows that if he cannot kill a person, he has no business doing that job, because that is how they are trained. Yeah, man. Like, he felt like he had no place on the force because he knew that he didn't have it in him to kill somebody. And that's like part of what's so fucked up about the whole situation.
And let's point out that he voluntarily quit. He did not get murdered. His partner did not get murdered. In other words, he was right not to kill whoever it was he drew his service weapon on.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, it's so fucked up too, because it's just like, and I'm sure obviously there's people who still very much would love if Jon Stewart ran for office or did anything in that regard. And he'd been asked several days like, no, I'm never going to run. And somebody, it may have been Colbert, was talking about Jon Stewart, and they're like, yeah, that's the shitty thing about politics is the person who would do really, really good at it has no interest in doing it ever.
Right.
Like it's always the only people who have interest in doing it are people who want absolute power and shit like that.
Either Plato or Socrates was the first person in paper to point that out.
Yeah.
And then whichever one it was, their solution to it was just to let the philosophers rule, which is hilarious because that's what he was.
Right, exactly.
He was like, we have people who don't want to do it, but since we don't.
Yeah. Me and my buddies who just stay drunk on the hill all the time. Listen to us.
Corey, did you hear any of that?
Here's what I said. You said the thing about the philosophers, and then it froze, and I started to be like, oh, yeah, of course the drunks that sit on a hill all goddamn day thinking about stuff want people to listen to them. And then it froze completely, and I heard what? What's funny?
You froze right at the moment.
Recapped.
Yeah, like everything you recapped, we had actually heard. It had not frozen. And the second you got to the part where you had frozen, you were like, and you froze up again. So it cracked us up. I still have no fucking clue what you've been saying, though.
Yeah, so anyways, I got nothing. I don't know. That it just froze, and I sat here for a while waiting on y'all to come back or me to cook.
I thought you had said you had some silly shit you want to talk about. But
yeah, and I forgot. I'm glad Drew does.
Okay. Well, what you said was he had gotten permission to do it, and I want to know who you got permission from, because that's
Trae, the benevolent dictator, Socrates' boy.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Now I feel all right. So should I go?
Yeah, yes. I don't have it. I forgot. We started talking about cops, and then I read a very inappropriate boner ad.
I brought this up to you guys, and we were like, should we talk about it? Should we not? And I ended up talking about it with DJ, and I told you if I did that, I'd report it back to y'all.
Oh, yeah.
The lizard? Lizards?
Yes. Okay, and talking with DJ about it has made me even more confident that we should talk about it.
Did DJ ask you about it, or did you?
No, I brought it up to him, and it's going to be up on our Patreon. Everyone listening right now, if you want to hear DJ's perspective, you're going to pay for it at least for the next month. I might put it out for free later. I'll tell you some of what he said, but it's 20 minutes and it's straight fire. Straight fire.
I told him the other day to bring it up to you on your podcast this week. So I'm glad that ended up happening.
All right. So everyone listening is like, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
That's
so
true.
I'm going to tell you. We got a message. It was a very kind message. It was very kindly written. It wasn't in an accusational tone. It was essentially just informing me that we often refer to rich people as lizard people.
Yeah.
And they know that this person who wrote it was like, I know you mean rich people, but that whole conspiracy theory started as a conspiracy theory to shit on Jews. It is anti-Semitic in its origin. The original person who started that conspiracy theory, when he said lizard people, he meant Jews. And so when you say lizard people, anyone who knows about that is going to think you either mean Jews or don't give a shit that someone used it that way. That person's name, just to review for everyone listening and for you guys, his name is David Von Ick or Icky. I don't fucking know. He's British. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's written many conspiracy books. His main two things that he's known for is all types of Holocaust denial bullshit and popularizing, and that's important, or it was to DJ, popularizing the idea that an interdimensional race of reptilian beings called archons have hijacked Earth, and that they are essentially either part Jewish, or that's what Jews secretly are. Essentially, the way we blame when we say lizard people, rich people for all our problems, he does it with Jews, which is shitty and typical to DJ. The first thing I got from him was pushback that this particular man didn't have shit to do with that theory. He had another man he wanted to bring up.
I bet.
And
lizard buddy.
Yeah, lizard buddy.
And
lizard buddy.
One of my favorite lines. I really don't want to give too much away because DJ needs y'all's money, so go sign up for the Patreon. And I need it too. One of my favorite lines was he said, "Buddy, I've been knee deep in this lizard mess for a better part of 2 decades, and I've never even heard of this motherfucker."
Yeah.
What I can tell from
that's the truth too.
What I can tell from Wikipedia is that this guy did absolutely popularize in the internet era the quote unquote lizard people theory. It comes from people though who do are similar in that, and the first ones had nothing to do with the Jews. It was just that aliens who live in underground bunkers take the form of humans, but they're actually blood and they control the earth, and it didn't have shit to do with Jews. That existent conspiracy theory, and he made it about the Jews because he's a fucking piece of shit. But when he did that, it went from, mostly because of the timing of it, because of the internet, but his version of it went from kind of an underground, unknown thing to everyone's talking about it. But it went beyond him to where Barack Obama was supposed to be the king lizard person. He's clearly not a Jewish person. Louis C.K. famously called Donald Rumsfeld and George Bush lizard people, neither of whom are Jewish, on Opie and Anthony. And he started calling rich people exclusively. And I'm not saying, he's a
if Louis did it. I mean, case closed, am I right?
All right, so here's where the question is.
What'd Cosby say about Dennis Kucinich?
Okay, Cosby I'm glad you brought Cosby up.
Oh, wow.
Because it's a perfect example. No, here's the question. So first of all, feel free to disagree with me or poke holes in this. This is where I fall on what happened. It's like the story of Jesus. Jesus Christ. It's like the story of Jesus in that the story of Jesus ain't the first version of that story.
Right. It's all based on the sun and Egyptians and
There's all kinds of versions of someone being born of a virgin, and there's all kinds of versions of people who died and came back to life 3 days later after defeating the devil or some version of the devil. But that story is now the Jesus story.
Yeah.
There might be a few people on Earth who think of Osiris or whatever the hell the Egyptian guy's name is first.
I think of Anakin Skywalker, but yeah.
But for the most part, we know that as the Jesus story.
Yeah, that's the template.
That, to me, cuts both ways on this one. Because the guy who started it, his version of the lizard people conspiracy theory is what got popular. But it went beyond him to a certain extent, and much like God left the Jews behind. So I don't know. His version of it was anti-Semitic and became the popular version of it. So there's a part of me that's like, so then it's completely anti-Semitic. But also his version itself evolved to not be about Jews, to be about rich people. The reason I said that about Cosby, that's how I feel about it, by the way, the Jesus analogy. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Sure.
The Cosby thing comes up because it's kind of been brought up. Like, okay, Woody Allen is a predator, but his movies aren't a predator. Bill Cosby was a rapist, but his comedy specials aren't a rapist. And that's true. David Icke is an anti-Semite, but the story itself was anti-Semitic.
Right.
It's not like he just wrote Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like David Allen Coe in that way, sort of, except David Allen Coe like had both, obviously. Yeah, David Allen Coe had some absolute bangers. He also had some, an entire oeuvre of horrifically racist songs. Like
racist bangers.
Just people saying, yeah, he was a racist, but his stuff hit, a lot of his stuff was also racist. But so I do think it is a little different, than Cosby or whatever in that way. But my thing with it was, like, I said this when you first brought this up to us. The first thing that pops into my head is just, I've been hearing that, not to parrot DJ, I would never presume to, act like I know as much about this lizard mess as DJ does. Of course I don't. But I had a similar reaction to it, which is just, I've been hearing about this lizard shit for a long time. We say it and reference it all the fucking time.
Yeah,
like,
I almost can't remember a time in my life when it wasn't just in our everyday thing.
Right. So casually, we'll just, if rich people are talking about, we'll literally just be like, yeah, the lizards. I've said it in my own Poor Trent videos. I've said it a million times. And like, my only point with that is 99% of the time, no one is like, holy shit, are you really out here with your anti-Semitic lizard people stuff? Which says to me that 98 and 99% of internet-dwelling liberals who are absolutely the type to call you out on a thing, 98, 99% of them do not perceive of it that way either. Which, furthermore, I think means that it has since evolved beyond that particular connotation, in my opinion. Because
I think it's just
people clearly don't hear it that way.
No, I think it's just that it's been said so many goddamn times about people who weren't Jewish and were just white and evil that it just kind of, now that's the thing. And
you also got to think, there's no way that hits for that guy. So it's not like you're doing something that is in that guy's favor. It's he came up with a conspiracy theory that I know, but it ain't about the Jews anymore. That's got to upset him, you think, which means really we owe it to society
to call rich assholes lizards. I agree.
Yeah, in a non-anti-Semitic way, because that's the only way to defeat.
Take it back.
See,
take it back.
I solved it. Take it back.
Well, what I'm about to say.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. We got this one.
What I'm about to say, DJ deserves at least 80% of credit for. I said it on the other podcast, but only after listening to him. It's really a humdinger of an episode. But it's kind of a reverse rebel flag or swastika.
That's not what it means to us anymore.
Swastika didn't mean anything hateful, and then the Nazis perverted it. Right. And now, even if you come from a Native American tribe who used to use that in their stuff, you have to know that if you put it on, somebody's going to think it means Nazi, and it's going to make people feel shitty.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of the opposite of that, where maybe it started out like that, but maybe very few people feel that way now. But here's the question:
I was about to say it's also the opposite of that.
Nobody though,
right?
Like, what if? And we never heard we have only heard from two people. The first person who said it sent us a message and said, that's anti-Semitic. And I said, what do you mean? And then they blocked me or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I was like, well, that person was trolling me. Fuck that person. And that was a year or two ago. Then only one other person did it. But maybe that's because we lost all of our potential Jewish fans as soon as they heard us talking about lizard people.
That's what I was going to say.
No, and I feel guilty for friends. And yes, I have Jewish friends, but I got a question. You know what I mean? But maybe like, I really don't hear saying that. Oh. And Jewish hurts them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but okay. Here's to illustrate the point I was making. Like, for example, on a recent thing I posted on my Facebook page, I referred to a politician running for office as and I'm probably about to get this wrong right now because that's how much of a non-issue it was and remains to me. But I referred to this person as either I said Democratic candidate or I said Democrat, and whichever one I said, I got this one particular fan of mine went bananas on me for not saying that word the right way. I think I said Democratic candidate, and I got ripped apart by one person who's like, it's not Democratic, it's Democrat candidate, and here's why. And like 3 paragraphs of why that was wrong for me to have done that.
I can't believe one of your fans did that to you.
And the whole time I was like, what the fuck is this? And anyway, so my point is, because I be using this lizard shit. We all do, but I do too, individually and as a group. I know for a fact I've called Marsha Blackburn a lizard recently. Like, I be calling people lizards in my videos, and I'm not getting this particular brand of pushback from that, and I know I would. Yeah,
you would. You sure would.
If it was an actual like widespread thing, people would be coming after me.
But what I'm saying is, for better or for worse, well, that's not the right way to say that. What I'm saying is, and you don't have to feel this way, but this is very much how I feel about it. If there are Jewish people who like hear that and kind of tense up because they know this. I mean, this guy is a Holocaust denier writer. That's a very serious movement inside the white supremacy movement. Yeah. It is a threat to their lives. Corey froze like this, and it was so funny.
He did. That's it.
It's a true threat to their lives. If hearing us or anyone say it makes them think of those things, I have no interest in saying it anymore. But if they didn't even know, like if this dude's such a fucking loser, even Jews who are obviously alert to anti-Semitic shit didn't hear of David Icke. It ain't just DJ who hadn't heard of him. They ain't either. Then fuck it. Like, I'm gonna keep doing it.
And the thing is like, to me, it's not just like, oh, well, maybe we just don't have a lot of Jewish fans. The number one thing that white liberals like to do is be offended on behalf of other groups.
But what I'm saying
you would think that they would have in their pamphlet, like, okay, so you can't say lizard and you can't say gyp and you can't say black.
But I'm trying to express, not just for like comedian points. Sincerely, I don't give a fuck about those people or those pamphlets.
Well, me neither.
But I do.
I was trying to do it for comedic purposes, but I also don't give a fuck.
But I do give a fuck if it makes Jewish people feel uncomfortable.
Me too.
Because there's a legitimate threat to them and their people that's been constant for fucking.
This episode's on YouTube. Jews, sound off in the comments. Does lizard hit or don't hit? You can.
I'm not going to pretend like that's not what I'm getting at here. I don't want to put my friends on. I don't want to call my buddy Arena and be like, Jew question. But like, if you're a fan, let us know.
Dude, man, I'm just going to stream on it here. Just let us know, because that's the thing, man. Like, that's all we can do. If y'all come in here and say don't hit, then we'll make make up a new thing to call those fucking pieces
It's going to
of
be
shit.
hilarious when I go back and look at the person who alerted me to this, and their fucking last name is like fucking Bernstein, and they're
Yeah.
like, no, I was telling you that I would like you to stop doing that, and I was
of
being
course.
kind, and you're an asshole.
Yeah, that guy's listening the whole time. Like that, I said
I
that.
did that. I
That's
did
what
that.
started this.
And again, I want to be clear that the person who did alert me this time, super kind about it. Wasn't like there was no meh in it. You know what I mean? It was like hey man, I don't think y'all know this because y'all rule and you wouldn't do this if you knew this. That's anti-Semitic, buddy. I was like, God damn, really? And he was like, yeah, look this guy up.
That was
I know
the
that it's
perfect
not-
onomatopoeia for liberals.
Yeah,
It used to be part of a joke I did.
I knew that. Can I? You. What you. Did I really? What you were doing?
Yeah, you thought I would. I just thought you're being anti-Semitic. No
Yeah.
big deal. No.
What's that?
As far as I know, the whole podcast doing it.
I frizz again.
If people say that that's what something meant forever and always, you know, evil rich people who
Yes.
were 19 times out of 20 white.
Yes, 100%. I didn't know anything about this until you brought this information from that guy to us like a week ago, and I never in a million years had any idea that Jews were associated with that lizard mess at all in any capacity. So that's never been my intent either.
And
Just so
the thing
everybody
I was
knows.
excited to tell you guys is DJ's assessment is they're not taking this from me.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
being
of
the
course
racist.
not.
I
They
done.
being the racist. He's
DJ's
like,
already-
racists have taken enough from me. Because I don't know if you guys know this. DJ loves the rebel flag.
Yeah.
Yep.
And genuinely, you guys know how sweet he is. You've listened to him on the podcast. Genuinely thought that as long as he didn't mean anything hateful, it was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Came to realize and understand that it scared black people, frankly, because of racists. And he blamed the racists for that, which is what you're supposed to do.
Fair. Yeah.
And what he is saying is, I'm not letting them take another one from
Yeah.
you guys.
He's
Yeah.
had to,
It's
he's
my
had to
heritage.
Give, he's had to give
Lizard
in,
people,
It's
DJ
just
won't
DJ's
take lizard
heritage.
people down.
DJ has had to give away too many of his old knives and belt buckles. He's got to
Yeah.
keep the fucking lizard shit, and
He's got to
I'm
keep
for
his
it.
folder.
Yeah.
His portfolio, his manifesto.
Oh God. Well, guys, it's been
Yeah.
fun.
It has.
Get
That's
your
been
dick hard
fun.
with Blue Chew, and
Yeah. Cops don't hit.
No Cops Don't Hit, and subscribe to our newsletter and all that good stuff, and follow us on all the social medias because we're going to be at the house for a while, so that's where we'll be making most of our funnies. So we love you, and skew.
Wait,
Thank you all for listening to the Well Read Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew.